I believe in the power of being nonchalant. As a typical high schooler at a public school, I have met many different types of people. Some were good and even became my friends, while some were not necessarily the best people to associate with. Some of these people often picked on others, or rather bullied them, in order to get attention and a reaction. I have lived long enough to see this truth, and I can verify that feeding the trolls and adding further fuel to the fire will not help, because they just want a reaction. With such a problem, I had to spend a reasonable amount of time considering how to approach the predicament. I thought this over a lot, thinking of ways to counteract this. After a while of planning, I finally developed a fairly foolproof plan, which was to be nonchalant and not let what they say affect me. I put this plan in action the next day, and as I expected in class, there was a substitute teacher, which did not help my situation at all. So there goes my backup plan of ignoring him did not work. The same person from countless days before who sat behind me began to correct his usual insults to see if I would react. It was getting more offensive by every word, and eventually I began to consider retaliating. As I began to formulate a smart response, I pulled as much knowledge as I could. All I wanted to see was him left shocked, trying to spot words that don't make sense, and to even begin to appreciate the complexity of my response. I even began to consider using knowledge from my friends and family in their past experiences dealing with a bully. I put a ridiculous amount of effort into my retaliating insult. I even went to lengths if I had not gone before. I was going to start off with a rhetorical question, then follow up with a comeback when he tries to insult me back. But then I realized that would just be repeating my mistake. Albert Einstein once said, "Insanity is doing something over and over and expecting a different result." Remembering this, I tried to cool off, as he continued to insult me with the common profanities such as gay and the B word. Even though it hurt on the inside, I did not let it affect me in any way. The more I ignored him, the more it seemed to worsen, as he tried to bring my ethnicity into his insult. He pestered me even more. He also got louder, to the point where I thought he would get a referral and sent into the office. I was embarrassed by all the noise that he was making. My palms actually started sweating, and my body felt like it was overheating. I was on the verge of breaking down. However, it all stopped. I don't know what made him leave. Maybe he just got bored and decided to leave me alone. He went to another group and began to make small talk with them. That meant I was home free. He finally left me alone. The next day I asked for a seat change. He never came over to mess with me again. That made me happy, because that is one problem that I had fixed all by myself. To this day, this method has not failed me. I know it's not the best route to take in this situation, but I think it's the best method if you do not want to involve anybody else. That fits my style, the guy that tries to avoid problems. So every time I use this method and it works, in my head I scream, "Mission accomplished."